Alright, so today's another day, and how are y'all doing? Yeah, I'm doing great. But anyway, so pretty much this is like probably the third episode of me working on this car. And so far what we've done today is take the carburetor off and replace the fuel filter and the lines that go to it, as well as add on a new line, and that line is going to be running from the fuel pump to our fuel source, and it's going to start. That's how we're going to get fuel to this engine to get to start. But we decided before we get into starting this engine, while trying to start this engine, we would remove the carb and check to make sure that it's clean and stuff, and that no shit in the carb will get into the engine. And it's pretty dirty, so we gotta clean it out. And so it's pretty much in pieces. The float here still works, and yeah, this is a 2-barrel, like I've told you a bunch of times before, Stromberg model WWG. You can see that. Bendix, manufactured by Eclipse Machining. Yeah, I don't know. They kind of half-assed the stamping on this carburetor, and somebody's got a noisy ass truck. But yeah, so see you in a little bit with this carburetor cleaned up. This little asshole right here has been dedicated to living in this car. He shows up every once in a while. The nasty one. Yeah, you run off. Run off. Stupid spider. What you gonna do? He's dominating his Plymouth Fury because he's an asshole. That's right, run off. Piece it. Alright, this video going. No, I don't. And there's no fuel going into this bottle.
Well, first it has to go into the filter. Come on, let's
well, yeah.
Clearly. That's the main thing. And that's what kind of bothers me about that position of that gas tank. Well, I wanted to get it a little above. I wanted to get the tank higher than the pump. This is, there's no suction.
Well, you're going to have to move it a little bit to the right, and then
what I'm probably going to need to do is go get a longer fuel line so I can put it up here, because that... Alright, so you ready?
Yep.
No fuel?
Nope. Nothing.
Alright, so this goes on. Good. And this over here. And are you ready? You ready?
Yeah. Oh. Getting some fuel. Yeah, it's filling up.
Alright. Well, at least the pump works, right? Ooh. Looks kind of dark, huh?
Yeah, this is, yeah, there's some shit
Got a
in
little
the fuel.
nasty. You ready?
Yep. A lot of shit came out of that fuel pump. Yep.
Good.
Here with another wonderful video, and today it is windy as hell out. You can probably hear it in the background, but I just got done installing a fuel line on the new fuel pump that we installed off camera because the old fuel pump is bad, and of course that's why we had to replace it. And I'm not surprised because this engine has been sitting for a while. The fuel pump has a date, the original fuel pump has a date stamp on it. Well, that's the brand stamp. So it's not like, this is like not OEM. You can see that, 94. So, like I said in previous videos, that this thing has obviously not been sitting for a while, but it looks like it's been sitting for 50 years because of just how much shit is on it. But basically today what I'm looking to do in this video is to test the new fuel pump and see about getting this engine running. And pretty much every video that I'm gonna do until I guess we move on from the engine, I'm gonna see in every video if I can get this engine running, because I know I've said this in the last few videos about hopefully getting the engine running, but we never get it done, and there's just always a bunch of stuff that we run into that we got to replace and stuff. But now that we got a brand new fuel pump, we should be able to get this engine running, because now it can pump fuel. We already have the setup below here for the gasoline. And yeah, but a few things I have to do after we test the fuel pump to get this engine running is reinstalling the radiator and installing the brand new spark plugs and wires that I got. And that's probably pretty much it to getting this thing running. Of course, we're using the Pontiac as a battery so we're always going to have a battery. I'm not sure if I probably didn't go over this. Maybe I did, but this terminal cable here that runs to starter was replaced. I'm not sure if I mentioned it. Whatever, it's not really that important. But yeah, so I'll see you in a little bit when we're testing this fuel pump. Alright, now we're testing the new fuel pump. Let's see how that goes.
So you want you over there watching the fuel site.
Yeah. Gotta watch the fuel filter here. There's a clear view of it.
Clear?
Yeah. Oh. Pumping fuel. There it goes. It started right up.
Okay. I would expect that to be full. I wonder if it's... look, it's leaking. It's making it up there.
Now we're getting ready for the second testing of this fuel pump. And here we go.
It's leaking up there real bad.
Yeah, we're thinking we got a gasket issue up there. Now we're running the third test for the fuel pump, mainly to fix this leak.
Okay, we got a new leak now.
Oh, we do. So
That's not leaking, but
right
it's
in
leaking out
here, this piece right here attaches this line, this fuel line, to the carburetor, and there's a gasket around this piece. And we had tightened this up to see if the leak would go away, and apparently it wasn't, so we took this off and we switched the gasket around, put it back on, and tightened it up, and so far this fixed itself. But now we got some leak that I didn't see.
This one, it's coming out here, which indicates that the float valve's not closing, because this is like the top of the float bowl. It's open to the atmosphere. The float comes up, the valve's not closing, it's still filling up and overflowing here.
So this carburetor is just falling apart on us.
Yeah.
Another one of these roadblocks I was talking about earlier. Apparently the jets on the carburetor work. Go ahead and operate it.
Oh, okay. That's the accelerator pump.
Well, that was in the way. It needed to be out of the way anyway.
That's the float valve not closing.
Yep, that's basically our new leak I just showed you there. So we gotta fix that. Wonderful. So at this point we concluded that we're gonna need a carburetor rebuild, and we gotta run to the store for that. So we'll be back in a little bit with the carb all nice and rebuilt, if can, or whenever. Alright, so today's another day, and we started taking this carburetor apart to rebuild it, and we realized that there was a missing part that was causing our issues. and it's basically a valve. It's a little metal piece, and it's inside of the carburetor on the opposite end of the screw end of this fuel line that we were seeing leak the other day. And so there's chances that we might not even have to use the rebuild kit that we bought. Yesterday I wasn't able to continue this video because by the time we got the carburetor kit it was dark out and it was cold, and so we just called it quits for that day. And now we're gonna go ahead and put this valve in and, well, just put this carburetor back together and go ahead and test it again and see if the leaks go away. And so we'll see you in a little bit with testing this carburetor. Alright, so we're ready to go, and now we're testing to see if this carburetor leaks. So far, no leaks.
Alright, I'd say that fits.
Okay, so the leak test went successful, but I'm going to go ahead and better explain what exactly happened. So this piece right here, which I'm going to go ahead and call the fuel line adapter, does two things. It has the valve, which is a little piece that I showed you earlier, and it has a gasket that seals between the carburetor and the adapter itself. And of course the fuel line goes into the adapter. And so what happened was when this started leaking, we decided, well, there's obviously something wrong with the seal, because we went ahead and tried tightening it up and it was still leaking here. And so we figured, well, we're going to take the adapter off and switch the gasket on it around. And so we took it out and forgot that the valve was sitting in it, and the valve dropped somewhere on the floor, and we flipped the gasket around and put it back in and totally forgot about the valve, and we put the fuel line back in. And then that's when we started having our second leak that was over here. And so that's what happened. And so we found the valve, put it back together, and now there's not really any reason for a carburetor rebuild kit yet. And
I think I put this on backwards.
alright, so now we're going to go ahead and test the ignition system once again to make sure that it's okay before we go and put the spark plugs in and the radiator and try starting this thing up. You know, we did it once before, but we're going to go ahead and just check it to make sure it's okay. We just installed a new wire for the positive terminal on the ignition coil. As you can see, there's this blue wire that's running from the ignition coil to over there, over to the driver's side front fender. I couldn't get my shit straight, but that right there, that white brick thing, is the ballast resistor, and that keeps everything in check so that it doesn't go overboard. So now we're ready to test it.
So let's see. Put that there.
Yeah, and I do remember telling you guys before about how we set this up?
Do the sparks?
Yeah. We got spark.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah.
What about
Spark works. Well, ignition works. Now we're going to go ahead and test the lead on the top of the ballast resistor. The ballast resistor has 2 leads. And we just tested the bottom one, which is where the positive wire for the ignition coil is.
Did you see how it splashes less?
Yep.
That's looks like what the point of the resistor is. Lower the voltage.
Both ends of the ballast resistor work.
You might, yeah. So you caught that, right?
Yeah.
You can tell the difference.
Back here with another wonderful video, and today we are going to be seeing if we can get this thing to fire up. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and just rotate it. We got everything prepared, spark plugs, wires. We even got the radiator in. And we got a battery that we salvaged from the Corsica. And we're going to go ahead and now we can go ahead and turn it over.
Okay. Compression sounds a little...
Smells. Gasoline.
I hear one, I hear him kind of slipping a little bit. So it's not even, but that's okay. If it fires up, maybe it'll... So, we have fuel, right?
Yep.
So then, all I need is to get the ignition turned on.
Another thing we did is we took the power steering pump off there because it was getting in the way. And now it's like off and out of the way. And the last video that I did didn't have an outro because, I got busy and stuff. And pretty much the video just ended like that. But off camera, we installed a positive cable, positive wire. So right now we're ready to start this thing up and see how it will attempt to start this thing up. Yep, ready.
Do you have
any fuel? We were before we had here's the second attempt at trying to fire this thing up. We're getting fuel and
nothing.
okay.
Battery's good.
Check the firing order, and we sprayed some carburetor cleaner in the carburetor. Now we're gonna try and see if it will run yet a third time. Let's see how that goes.
That's better. Got
Carb
something
cleaner.
there. Yeah. gas sucks.
Guess so.